How to explain a cash offer to a motivated seller. Guys, it's Rick Ginn, and today I'm going to break down how to present a cash offer, and more importantly, why you need to cater to your individual seller's needs. And I'm going to walk you through the 7 advantages of using a cash offer so you can get the best wholesale deal. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button. You hit that subscribe notification button to receive the most up-to-date information on wholesaling today. So we always talk about cash offers in wholesaling. And what I want to do is break down is why it's advantageous on how cash can actually help out a motivated seller. And I'm going to give you the steps and the verbiage that you can explain to any motivated seller that will give you the upper hand. So the first thing you have to understand is any offer to a seller has to be built around solving their needs. In other words, you gotta solve a problem. If you don't solve a problem, there's no offer in the world that's gonna help them out. And you've got to understand, when you make these cash offers, solving the problem of your motivated seller is the key in getting the best deal. See, you got to understand, if you don't solve their problem, why on earth are they ever going to use you? You are going to use the cash offer to solve a lot of the issues this seller has, and I'm going to break it down for you and explain it in detail. So first and foremost, before you get in the offer, you have to understand you have to simplify your offer. So many wholesalers try to make their offer so complicated. In all honesty, they don't even understand what they're offering. So rule number 1, simplify. Simplify, simplify. The simpler your offer, the easier it is to communicate to your seller on how you're going to help them out with your cash offer. Now, here's probably the biggest tip I can give to you on simplifying is most of your sellers are only going to retain about 20% of the information. So you have to be very clear and direct on how this cash offer is going to benefit them. So the easiest way to do that, honestly, is instead of talking over your sellers and trying to sound super professional and polished, number 1, you have to connect with them. If you don't connect with them, nothing works on a cash offer. Number 2, talk to them at a 3rd grade level. I really struggled with this when I started wholesaling because I try to be so sophisticated and I know more than you and I'm going to talk over your head. And the minute you go that way, you're going to lose them. And honestly, I just need someone that's going to solve my problem. So you've got to dumb it down at a 3rd grade level. Why? Because that is the simplest form of communication. And the simpler you make your offer, especially your cash offer, the better your chances of getting a great wholesaling deal. Please don't overlook this. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk through the 7 advantages that you have at your discretion to give to your motivated sellers for your cash offer. Now, here's the key is you're not going to use them all. Honestly, not all 7 of these points are going to benefit your motivated seller. So remember, we talked about simplifying and they're only going to contain 20% of the information. So what you want to do is talk to your seller, and when you go through the qualification and you go to underwrite the house and look at everything, is you want to find out what their true problems are. And then you're going to use a method that we basically called solution stacking. Let me repeat that. It's called solution stacking. It's when you're going to pick 3 at most out of these 7 items, and you're going to stack those together and show them how your cash offer is going to solve your motivated seller's problem. So many of you try to go through every one of these advantages of the cash offer, and the reality is they're only going to remember like 2 or 3 of them. And they're looking for the ones that actually solves their problems, not your problems. And if you understand that, then you will master how to do a cash offer. So I'm going to walk through the 7, and I want you to keep in mind you're using solution stacking. You're going to find 3 of these, at least 2 to 3 of these, that are going to cater to your current motivated seller's issues that will actually solve their problem. And honestly, if you focus on the 2 or 3, That's how you win people over with a cash offer. So let's run through the 7 advantages of making a cash offer to a motivated seller. The first one is there's no inspections. And why is that important? Because people don't like people running through their house and picking apart every little detail. Now, this typically happens on MLS with realtors, and the reality is buyers are paying tippy top dollar for the properties, and they want to know they're getting what they're paying for. Hence an inspection. It actually makes sense. The buyers spend some money, and if it's not what it adds up, as they say in the MLS listing, they're going to do what? They're going to ask for a discount. 90% of offers on MLS all ask for a discount after the inspection, and sellers get annoyed with this. And for this reason alone, one of the reasons they're probably using you as a wholesaler is they might have issues with their house and they don't want to deal without an inspection period. It creates anxiety, it makes them uncomfortable, and they know you're going to go for a discount, and that is advantage number 1 of an inspection. The second advantage of a cash offer is there's no appraisals. So an appraisal is ordered when someone's getting a loan on a property. And appraisal has multiple facets, and you have to understand it. So the first thing is they're going to do comps in the area. They're going to inspect the interior of the property. And then an appraiser is going to establish what they think the house is worth. The crazy thing is it's really just an opinion, and it's nothing more than a permission slip to the bank on giving a loan of a yes or a no. And honestly, appraisals can kill deals because most retail MLS listings have a little box checked off, is if the house does not appraise for what they offered it for, they can easily get out of the deal. Think about that. Say the house is worth $300,000 and you wrote it off for $300,000 and it appraises at $285,000. That allows the buyer to renegotiate that deal down to $285,000 or get out of the contract. That's one of the advantages of cash offer. You don't have to go through the appraisal contingency. Leads me to number 3, there's no bank loans with a cash offer. You don't have to go through the long drawn out process. We talked about appraisal, and that usually takes anywhere from 7 to 14 days, depending on how backed up they are. And remember, on the bank loan, you've got to understand there's multiple points a bank loan can fail, and I'm going to walk you through the 3 within this category. Number 1, they're going to underwrite the house. We already talked about the appraisal. That can easily fail and they get out of the contract. Number 2, they're going to look at the inspection of the house to make sure the house is up to code, make sure that the roof is at the highest standards, it's not too old. They're going to make sure all the windows work, the heating elements, the AC, the flooring, everything on the house. And so they're going to look at that. And then number 3, even the bigger one, is they're going to underwrite the new buyer. And that means is they're going to look at their spending habits. They're going to look at how much income they make. They're going to look at their level of debt. And they're going to make sure they can actually pay the loan. And sometimes right up to closing that they can pull a loan because they either lost their job, they had a change in income, or they made a ginormous purchase. So the problem with the bank loan is there's 3 points of failures, and the odds of one of them failing are actually pretty good. And for that reason, a cash offer solves the problem of the whole bank loan 3-part failure. And that is why a lot of sellers come to people like wholesalers so they can avoid this pain. Basic guys, sometimes their house is just not up to par, and they know they're going to have problems in these areas, and that's why they prefer getting a cash offer. Number 4 is time. Time's an obvious one. The average bank loan takes anywhere from 45 to like 75 days. The average is probably around 60. So between ordering appraisals, doing inspections, underwriting the new buyer, and having the bank get all the paperwork to the title company, this stuff takes time. So on average, it winds up being around 60 days. The reality is all cash offers can be done in 30 days or less. I always want you guys to do 30 days so you don't get in a bind. But the reality is a good structured cash offer can close in as little as 3 to 5 days. Use a 3 to 5 day closing if you're getting just the most ridiculous, phenomenal deal. But on average, you can do it in 30 days. The reality of this is it cuts the time in half by using a cash offer over using a normal bank loan. And number 5 is the showing parade. Meaning those realtors are going to bring anybody and everybody through the property. A lot of times the realtors don't even qualify, and you get a lot of tire kickers going through the house, and you feel like it's judgment zone. It's like everybody goes through, the cat gets out the door, the dog starts barking, or maybe you're sitting down for dinner at Sunday night and a realtor shows up with buyers. It's just a pain in the butt. And honestly, I get a lot of sellers that have some issues with their property. They don't want anybody parading through the house. And that's why a wholesaler like you and me are a perfect fit, because we avoid what I call the parade pain of people going through the house. Most people just don't like strangers walking through their house, because the reality is they don't care about the motivated seller, and they'll make comments and sellers' feelings get hurt. And for that reason alone is one of the reasons why wholesalers are so popular. And number 6, I touched on this early, is avoid the scrutiny judgment zone. The reality is you're going to be judged by other realtors, you're going to be judged by brokers, you're going to be judged by buyers, inspectors, appraisers, you name it, and it just sometimes it feels taxing. If you have a house that has problems, you don't want to be judged and scrutinized because it has issues. You just want to get the property sold. That's where wholesalers come in with a cash offer, because we can bypass all these issues only with a great cash offer. And number 7, which is one of the biggest ones, which I love, is since we aren't moving into the home, we can make it a super convenient closing. So if they need an extra 30 days to get their stuff packed up and move it, what do I care if I wait 30 days? Honestly, I'm going to use that as a selling feature of my cash offer, because I can build in convenience, because I want to do what's best for you. And if you need to wait 2 months or 3 months, we'll just write it in the contract and I will work with you to make this a seamless transaction. You see, guys, just by using that cash offer on option number 7 of giving them the choice of the date they want to close, I just solved a major concern for most motivated sellers. Now, I highlighted the 7 biggest features or benefits of using a cash offer. You can also add in all the fees you avoid of working with a wholesaler. If you want to pay closing costs, I use it as a negotiating point. I don't offer it front. Obviously, you don't pay realtors fees, and you avoid a lot of the traditional costs that go along with the loan and the closing, because if you get a really good deal. So last one I didn't even include in this is the costs of doing a traditional bank loan over a cash offer. Keep in mind, most of them are trying to avoid the realtor's commission. Some are trying to avoid closing costs and a lot of the traditional fees. And guys, if you get a great deal, you can negotiate the closing cost. I never offer that up front, but if they're going to offer us a great deal, why not go ahead and pay for it? That is a huge advantage of a cash offer, because you can move with speed and clarity on how you can fund the transaction with your own cash and give them a net number that only a cash offer can solve. So let me recap real quick. I've given you 7 clear, definitive solutions on how a cash offer can help you close any motivated sellers and the benefits of each one of them. Now, keep in mind, most of the time you don't go through all 7 with your sellers. So you want to do solution stacking. I like to highlight 2 or 3, and what I'm going to do is listen to my seller. I listen very carefully to my motivated seller, and I find out what the real problem is. Do they need to move fast? Is the money the most important thing? Are they looking for self-pride and dignity, which all 3 things most motivated sellers are? And once I find out what their pain points are, I'm going to take 2 to 3 of the advantages of the cash offer, which I've described in this video, and I'm going to do what we call solution stacking. And why do I do it? Because it simplifies it. It solves their problem, because you have to remember, the art of putting a great wholesaling deal is number 1, you have to connect with them by building rapport. Without it, none of it works. Number 2 is listening to your seller carefully to find out what their true problem and pain points are. And then we use solution stacking, where we go through the 7 advantages of a cash closing over traditional closings. And then I'm going to home in on 2 or 3 of them that actually solves the motivated seller's problem. Guys, if you use this method, your closing ratio will go through the roof. So many wholesalers try to go through every iteration and you lose your sellers. Find out what their pain is, build a rapport, find the 2 or 3 things through solution stacking that solves their problems, and then go write a cash offer and help your sellers out. Guys, it's up to you. Either you solve people's problems or you don't. The wholesaler that can solve the most problems will make the most amount of money and get the best deal. So let me know in the comments, which of the 7 cash closing advantages are you using to help close your wholesaling deals? Guys, I would love to hear from you this, because I have a lot of experience in this areas. Remember, we're not selling, we are problem solving. The more problems you solve, the more money you make in wholesaling. I love this business, and I want you to use the tools that I've learned over my 20 years so you can have the advantage in helping out your motivated sellers. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe notification button to continue to receive the absolute best information on wholesaling today. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.